But as my mind grew in confidence, my body was going into a rapid decline. At home I was reluctant to ask for help from outsiders, and was relying upon Jane more and more to help me get up in the morning, get dressed, and get to work. And when I got to Cambridge, I needed my students to help me too.
Are we signing this?
Yes.
I first met Stephen in 1972 at Cambridge when I became his PhD student. He was in a wheelchair, but a push wheelchair. And so I also had a role in helping him with eating and moving around and having coffee and tea and things like that. So it was a rather unusual relationship. In those days, Stephen, of course, was still speaking with his voice, but his voice was still weak, so it wasn't so easy to hear what he was saying. And indeed, when I travelled with Stephen, I would often be acting as an interpreter. So Stephen would say something, and if the person he's speaking to couldn't understand, I would then repeat it.
Although I was becoming increasingly trapped inside my dysfunctioning body, fortunately my mind was unaffected. I had a new big question I felt compelled to find the answer to. My reputation in the field of black holes was established as we entered a golden age. But my next discovery would throw all of cosmologists' findings to date up in the air. The calculations I was working on involved what happened to particles on the edge of a black hole that were sucked in and disappeared. To my great surprise, I found that some particles could escape the black hole, which seemed to make a mockery of the known laws of physics. At first I thought this must be a mistake.
I do remember when he was working on this problem, and indeed I even remember when he told me he was working out the quantum effects of these black holes, and he seemed to be getting this flux of particles coming out. When Stephen's thinking about a problem, he will become obviously obsessed with it.
It was a very intense period. It was when he could be surrounded by children and not notice what was going on, because he was like Rodin's thinker with his head in his hand, often accompanied by Wagner blaring out from loudspeakers. He used to drive me spare.
Finally, after months of exhaustive work, I found what I was looking for. Contrary to all previously held theories on black holes, I discovered that they must emit particles like a hot body losing heat. This evaporation meant, in theory, a black hole could eventually